what do you do when they don't respond? You already have exactly what you need, and it is your credit report. It is the information reported on your credit report. That is literally the only thing that you could ever need. When you send out a dispute, right? Round 1, no response. Hey, guess what? Go to your credit report. Find the new information for these things. If you use, I don't know, date loss reported for round 1 or balance on round 1, now you're going to go and you're going to dispute their failure to enter the notice of dispute. If you did notice a dispute, your next round is going to be first date of delinquency. If that was, you use first date of delinquency, now you're going to go to payment history, okay? So you already have access to everything that you need. You can see whether they did an investigation by looking at the date loss reported and the notice of dispute. So it doesn't matter what they do, it's about what we do. And what we do is we don't get frustrated. We don't get stressed out. We use the facts on the credit report and we go and get our deletions. You need proof that the credit bureaus don't investigate? I'm about to give it to you directly from the mouth of Equifax's vice president. Now, this that I'm about to show you is from 2007, but it's only gotten worse since then. And I don't just spit good game, I prove everything that I'm about to say, and you can access this down in the description. So in a March 2007 deposition, Equifax's vice president described its entire reinvestigation process accordingly. We're going to skip down to the bottom, and this is the same exact process used by each CRA. The only human intervention is to determine the appropriate 2-digit code to enter into computer message to the creditor. This is via eOscar. No independent discretion is exercised. No information is considered in a reinvestigation. They only act as data entry clerks to transfer the consumer's written dispute of whatever detail into one of 4 primary dispute codes used over 90% of the time. All right, so let's go look at what was highlighted in this testimony given by Leonard Bennett. Do DDC employees have telephones on their desk? I don't believe so. As part of their compliance with Equifax's procedures, do DDC's employees telephone consumers as part of conducting a reinvestigation? They do not. Do they telephone creditors, the furnishers, as part of conducting a reinvestigation? They do not. Do they telephone anybody from outside DDC or Equifax as part of conducting a reinvestigation of a consumer dispute? They do not. What about emailing any of the non-Equifax, non-DDC people, creditor, consumer, or third party? They should not be. They do not email them. What about fax machines? They do not have fax machines either. Under what circumstances will a DDC employee forward the consumer's actual dispute letter or documents the consumer provided to the furnisher, the creditor, as part of the reinvestigation? A mechanism does not exist to forward the actual document. Now, let's go look at another Bennett FCRA testimony. Now, there's very specific information in here, but when questioned further as to why Capital One would never conduct an in-depth research of FCRA disputes, the representative explained that the furnisher's procedures were developed in collaboration with the 3 bureaus, and this is the policy which is developed through such involvement. There's something important up here that we actually want to look at. So the words reasonable and procedures are plainly absent from section 1681 S2. So this means Congress did not intend to impose upon any furnisher the duty to defend its investigation or records qualitatively under section 1681 S2B. Indeed, the requirements of accuracy as they relate to mere furnishers of information are contained in section 1681A, a section which is expressly made non-actionable by consumers like Johnson under section 1681 S2 through D. If Congress had wanted to subject furnishers to a qualitative standard, could have easily done, okay? This position taken by, which is now Capital One, the largest credit card company in America, exposes the distinction between the industry's cry for Congress to maintain preemption and the reality in which furnishers actually operate, one which still lacks any enforceable national standard. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to this section here. Okay, so this person says that they had 3 separate visits from each of the bureaus, or 1 separate visit from each of the bureaus. And they came to explain to my team how to more properly and more accurately work accounts to verify. Now, we're not going to read this entire thing, but one of the questions that I had for them was, how do we actually verify? And then they explained how they verify, which is
we pull up our system of record, in this case, Unisys or Beast. We look at what the Bureau has sent us on the ACDV, so on eOscar. If there are any discrepancies, we make sure that what the Bureau has mirrors exactly what we as Capital One have. That's verifying. So there's no documentation, there's no applications, there's no anything. So they say that was what you described to the representatives as verifying? Yes. And what did they say in response to that? I actually followed up with that, DO6. You want us to do that, or do you want us to do things such as pull statements, etc.? Actually do research, which would involve CHIA. And in each case, the representative said no. Let me clarify here. The Bureau rep said, no, we want you to verify it. We want you to make our system look like your system. So that's what we've been doing. Now, how does that make any sense? As long as consumers remain stuck in this catch-22 of the CRA furnisher responsibility dodge, the FCRA will continue to offer little relief for your constituents. The bureaus will continue to issue flawed and inaccurate credit reports to many innocent users who must rely on the same for the daily business decisions. Whether or not the industry lobby accepts this truth, financial services industry has far more to gain by improving the credit reporting system than by accepting its serious flaws. For those of you who think there's an actual investigation, you're going to want to read this because they have no phones, they don't call anyone, they don't have email access, they don't have a fax machine. So how do they reinvestigate, or how do they do an investigation? The credit bureau representatives are there to do nothing more than convert what you are telling them into a 2-digit code and send it over to the data furnisher, okay? Now, is there a way to actually remove these things from your credit report? Because it basically looks like I'm telling you that you're just SOL, right? The answer to that is there is a way. But you got to be very specific in what you are saying and what you are doing. And you can actually check out this video here, that video there, or you can check out the link down in the description and at the bottom of your screen, and you can learn everything that you could possibly ever want to know about removing your negatives, building your scores, and maintaining those scores so that you can go out and get the credit that you need. Not want, but need, because of course, credit's everything, right? Determines where you live, where you work, how much money you make, all that kind of stuff. If you want a second chance to make a first impression, then I give you everything that you could possibly need. And if this is something that you don't want to do, you don't have time for it, it's too much for you, you don't even know where to begin, then here are all the links that you need. Free credit sweep consultation. You can head over to my740.com. It can be really confusing to look at a credit report and know exactly how to take this information and create the perfect dispute reason. However, by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do with this information to create that perfect dispute reason every single time. And you can access this entire PDF linked down in the description. But we're going to start with this collection reporting with Jefferson Capital Systems. Now, what we want to do for every single account, if you're a beginner, is we're going to find the creditor name and account number, the element that we are disputing, and the facts taken directly from the credit report. And then I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So we have Jefferson. We have to look at our inaccuracies and find the best possible reason. So let's go check it out. First of all, this is a collection, and yet it says that it's open. That's a major one. Another thing is that the date last paid reports 11/22 on Experian and 8/17 on Equifax. That is a violation. That is a re-aged violation. And in the payment history, we have a ton of charge-off. Even though this is not a charge-off, it is a collection. That is another issue. And this person never paid, and yet it says paid. So let's go figure out what we're going to do. I'm going to start with the date of last payment. So I would put Jefferson. I'd put the account number. The element that we are disputing is going to be the date last paid, because again, it's reported with 2 totally different years. And then we're going to take the facts that are reporting on the credit report. Experian reports 11/22 and Equifax reports 8/17. Now you could use this for every single account that you have on your credit report. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this information and we're going to create the perfect dispute reason using this format: action, justifier, element, reason, and outcome. And as you can see, we already have what we're disputing, the part of the account that we're disputing, and the facts taken from the credit report. So let's go and fill out this dispute. You can do this for every single account on here, but we're saying delete this collection for violation because the date last paid reports as 11/22 on Experian and 8/17 on Equifax. This account has been illegally re-aged. And we could go through this for every single account that we have just by filling in the creditor name and account number, the part of the account that we're disputing, and supporting it with the facts from the credit report, and then plugging it into this specific format. Delete this account, this collection, this inquiry, this personal information for inaccuracy or violation because the part of the account reports as these facts. If you don't understand this, let's go and do a second one. So we're going to go and find another account that we want to dispute, Capital One. And as you can see, we have charge off down in the payment history, date last N118. Creditor name and account number, Capital One, account number 4147. The element that we're disputing is, again, the date last paid. And the facts taken from the credit report are Experian and TransUnion 621, Equifax 118. So when we come down here and we throw this into the formula, we are going to have the dispute reason that says delete this account for inaccuracy because the date last paid reports 621 on Experian and TransUnion, Bomax. Folks, it is really as simple as that. Find the best possible dispute reason, the thing that you believe is going to get you the best possible deletions based on inaccuracy or violation, dispute it, and get your deletions. Look at PNC Bank. Date last paid, 2/21/8/17. We have another re-aged violation on this account. We could go through every single account. We're going to see the same thing over and over again. Date last paid, 7/22/7/22/8/17. These are also missing the notice of dispute, 2/21/2/21/8/17. Just because the account belongs to you does not mean that it's reported accurately. Your job is to go through your credit report and find the reason the account needs to be removed and plug it into this formula: action, justifier, element, reason, outcome. And I promise you, you're going to have the best possible dispute reason to remove your account. But if you want the full training and you want to learn how to write your first paragraph, your why paragraph, as well as other examples of how to structure your dispute letter, then check this out. The entire PDF can be accessed in the description. There's even a quiz on here, a couple of quizzes that are going to help you to increase your dispute IQ so that you can go and remove your negative items, increase your credit score, and get the credit that you need. As always, if you would like to see if I can do a credit sweep for you, schedule a call with me at my740.com. That link is at the top of the screen. And I hope you have a great one. Today we're talking about how to remove closed accounts from your credit report like a star and what you should avoid removing too. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to know your best option. Should you remove it, correct it, or should you leave it? Now, keep in mind, a closed account doesn't mean it's negative by default. A negative account includes at least a 30-day late payment or a statement like reported as lost or stolen by consumer. And removing a closed account will change the total length to your credit history, and this can change your credit score drastically. Now, here's an example. Let's say that you remove a 20-year student loan. Now, your credit history is based on your next longest account, which in this example is only going to be 3 years. How many points do you think you're going to lose from going from 20-year credit history down to 3? First, determine if the account is derogatory to begin with. Second, decide if it can be corrected versus removing it to retain the history. And third, create your action plan based on the dispute type. And we're going to break this down into closed accounts with less than 4 late payments, closed accounts with more than 4 late payments, charged off accounts, and accounts that will be closed and charged off. Less than 4 late payments. Now, you can remove the late payments to have a report as paid, never late. And it's like magic because it's possible because the only way to legally verify a late payment is for them, the creditor, to furnish a bank statement proving when your payment was or was not accepted into their account. Do you really think they're going to do that? Obviously not. So dispute directly with the bureaus. Choose the oldest late payment and put the burden of proof on the bureaus by saying you are not late on whatever that date is. Remove this late payment history for inaccuracy. Okay. Now, you're disputing one thing to remove multiple. Now, obviously, they're going to fight you on it because they're not there to help you. So you need to stick with the program and fight this factually. Choose the next date and do the same thing. And then, of course, you can go after them for various violations like notice of dispute, date last reported, etc., and use it to get your corrections. So a side note on student loans, you can find more information specifically for these linked in the description because they have a different process and follow up entirely. More than 4 late payments. So unless you want to spend years of your life trying to go after each and every late payment individually, you're going to have to decide if it's best to leave the account and overshadow it with positive credit or delete it. And you can attack the late payments to remove the account, or you can use charge-off tactics to remove that account. Now, as far as using charge-off tactics and removing an account 100%, I have a bunch of videos that are linked in the description. Most of them are very recent, some of them from this week. They're going to teach you how to do this. Now, you're going to use charge-off tactics for, obviously, charge-offs, accounts with too many late payments, student loan collections, foreclosures, repossessions, and open, soon-to-be charged-off accounts. Now, because there's no way to correct an account like that, you can dispute it using any factual tactic that goes after a deletion. So an example would be if you're late on an auto loan, you're not going to pay it and it's going to be repoed, you can use a charge-off tactic to remove it entirely from your credit report. Another example would be if you're only 30 days late, but eventually it's going to be 100% negative or charged off. Waiting for it to get to that point is just a waste of time, and you should start disputing it now. So your takeaway from this is very simple. Closed is not negative by default and shouldn't be removed unless it's included in bankruptcy, lost or stolen, or has more than 4 late payments. And you want to try to keep the account on your credit report for the history. So if there's less than 4 late payments, update it to make it look like you had never paid late. Now, if you do need to remove an account, use the tactics I've given you in the linked videos, this video, and the free resources at hub.my740.com. But if this is just something that you don't want to do, schedule your free discovery call with me at my740.com for a credit sweep, and I will see if I can help you. It's really as simple as that. Now, that is it for today. There's other videos that are popping up on your screen right now, but smash the if you learned something that you didn't know before. Leave me a comment and let me know what else you want to see in a next video. And happy Father's Day if it applies to you, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Potential FCRA violations. Now, just so you know, potential FCRA violations does not mean that every single inaccuracy is a violation. So I'm going to show you the ones that are the most important. Willfully and recklessly reporting false info after being notified of the error and failing to investigate or correct the error. Reinserting or re-reporting a previously deleted item without notifying you in writing within 5 business days of the reinsertion. All right, so this never actually happens. They never notify you. And failure to respond to dispute within 30 days or 45 days if you got your reports off reference.com. And something else you need to know about is that they can put a 15-day extension if you send additional information. Reporting a bankruptcy longer than 10 years from the date of adjudication. Reporting a paid tax lien longer than 7 years from the date of payment. All right, so that is only for paid tax liens. Unpaid can be like 25 years or indefinitely, I heard. But the good news is that tax liens are one of the easiest things to remove as soon as 5 days. You just have to know what you're talking about. Failing to update or report the status of and or balance of an account that was included in bankruptcy as discharged with a 0 balance. Failing to provide, if requested after verification, the method of verification, including the real name, address, and phone number of the furnisher within 15 days of your request. Reporting a collection or charge-off longer than 7 years from the date of status or last activity, with the exception of credit transactions involving more than 150K. I didn't know these. The underwriting of life insurance involving over 150K, or employment with an annual salary reasonably expected to exceed 75K a year. Failing to notate that an item on your credit report is under dispute after creditor or debt collector has reported the dispute. That one is very important. We're talking about FCRA 623, reporting a record of an arrest or conviction longer than 7 years or until the governing statute of limitations is expired. Failure to provide all relevant info, and I did put a typo in here, documentation proving your case, not providing, to the furnisher when reasonable means to do so are available. You want to remove negative items from your credit report? Regular credit repair is just not going to do it. You need to learn how to do a credit sweep, and that's exactly what I've been showing you for the last 9 years. Now, recently we've been talking about 2 very specific violations against the notice of dispute and the date last paid, the illegal reaging. And you can access those videos down in the description. Now, first of all, if you need proof that a credit sweep is actually, number 1, legal, and number 2, works, then I have an entire playlist, this one that I'm showing you right now, that shows you hundreds and hundreds of score increases and deletions that I've gotten my own clients in a very short period of time. Speaking of which, if you want to schedule a call with me to see if I can do a credit sweep for you, head over to my740.com, use this first link to schedule a call with me, and I I will see if I can help. But today, I'm going to go over 2 very specific tactics that you can use to remove those negative items. Now, if you want to access everything that I just showed you, you're going to want to watch this video until the end so that you can access this negative accounts list for the tactics, as well as the charge-off tactics, hierarchy chart, the strategy card, and yes, we're going to go over all of this, paid or settled, whether to leave it or delete it, and the account plan of attack. So what you're going to do on the negative accounts list is you're going to fill out your negative items, right? And this is by category. So we have our creditor name, our account number, our late payments, and we have 2 different tactics that we're utilizing. So charge-offs, you're going to put those in green here at the top, then your third-party collections, and then debt buyer collections, and then late payments. And when you fill it out, it's actually going to look like this. If you look at our examples, we have Capital One, Discover, Credit One. Under charge-offs, we have medical accounts, and then portfolio Midland, and then a Capital One auto loan. And then I just created some, account numbers. So for the late payments, what you're going to do is you're going to fill out your oldest late payments, and that's going to be right here. Then your newest late payments, and then your inaccurate late payments. For the notice of dispute, the way we're going to actually track this is by putting the date that we sent our disputes. So this one was sent 5/22, and then the next one was sent 5/22, and the next one was sent 5/22. For the date last reported, to understand this tactic, I first need to explain what this is. So when the credit bureaus verify your account, the date last reported should actually be updated to the verification date. So if it originally said like January of 2023 and you disputed in August, it should now state August. And if it's not, it's a violation, and you should note the date disputed or whether they updated the date after verification. So when we go back and we look at this, I have a legend right here, and it shows you AAAC. That's activity after the account was closed. So you're going to notice this on an unpaid charge-off. If you go and look at the payment history, it's just going to have a 2-year block of charge-off, 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 charge-off. That is activity after the account was closed. And there shouldn't be any activity after that account was closed or charged off because, hello, it's closed. There shouldn't be activity. And then you're going to notate, the date last paid or the date last active, whatever they actually updated, or you can just put the actual date last reported. So if you take a look at this medical collection one for this unknown medical and the omit hospital, you're going to see that the notice of dispute, the letter was sent on 5/22 for both of these accounts. And then under the date last reported tactic, I have the validation of debt because we didn't use the date last reported. We're actually using validation of debt. And the date last reported actually was updated on the second one to be 2/2020. And then for Capital One, it was again sent 5/2022, but you'll notice that the date last reported stayed at 3/2018, which means that they did not even investigate. Now, the most important part of attacking violations is being able to actually document every single thing that you do. And that's why we need some sort of tracker or some sort of spreadsheet, but I actually created it for you. And again, you can access this, and I'm going to show you exactly how and where by you watching the rest of this video. So let's go to the next part. This is the charge-offs tactics hierarchy chart, but I need to make one change to this. So instead of starting with the date last active, we're actually starting with the date of last payment. So the date of last payment is important because it actually stipulates when the account is naturally going to fall off your credit report. So if it initially said 2017 and then you disputed and they re-aged it illegally, as I show in the 2 videos that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, then it means that there's another 7 years before it's going to come off. And obviously you don't want to have that. So we have our charge off. We're starting with our charge off. And if you go down the middle, we're starting with a date last paid. And then we can actually go down to the evolution line method and going after notice of dispute and the dispute funnel. If you want to learn those tactics, I'm linking them down in the description. Then we would go after the date last reported and their failure to update this, which means that they did not do an investigation. You can go after date last active, but I would instead recommend going after the payment history, such as the first date of delinquency or any inaccuracies in that payment history, such as if your account is unpaid, you're going to see the charge off, charge off, charge off, charge off, charge off. Another way that we can dispute this is by, again, going after the payment history, first day of delinquency, activity after the close date, and inaccurate reporting between the 3 bureaus, or as a last resort, balance, past due, and didn't verify. Now, I will let you know that if you're looking at the pyramid that has the 3 sections, the things that are going to remove the accounts are backup stuff and the stuff that you shouldn't ever use. This is probably going to be right here in the middle with only your backup stuff. Another thing that we can do is go after validation, creditor validation, and bureau validation. We can go after no contract, although that's probably going to be down here at the bottom of the hierarchy. A creditor dispute with the 623, and then going again and doing a bureau dispute. But I'm going to add one more thing on here. Now that we have our violation log, we would actually want to go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Once we create our complaint there on consumerfinance.gov, we would actually send a copy of our complaint with our new dispute letter to the credit bureaus. As a quick note, if you're asking yourself why there are so many different, tactics and violations and different rounds that we have to utilize, it's because these things were never meant to come off your credit report. And you need to know exactly what you were doing, especially right now in October of 2023, to remove these negative items. All right. So back to this strategy card. Now, this is kind of like the tracker, right? Where we're tracking our negative items. However, now we're tracking the actual disputes. So we have the credit bureaus, the creditors, collectors, and the CFPB. So we have rounds 1 through 6, and then violations. The X's mean we do have violations on every round. Responses. So for round 1 and 2, there were no responses, and round 6, no response. So for the tactics or factual, on round 1, it was factual. 2, we used a tactic. 3, it was factual. 4 and 5, tactic, and 6, factual. And you can actually use tactics and factual at the same time. And to understand that, you're going to want to go check out the links down in the description. But you're going to want to do this for everyone that you are disputing so that you know what you did and when you did it. It's really, really simple. Now make sure that you stay until the end of this video, not only to access all of this, but so that you can learn the key to doing all of this. And I referenced it at the beginning of this video when I mentioned the notice of dispute. Now, if you have paid or settled charge-offs, you need to decide whether you're going to leave it or whether you are going to delete it. And you can do that by basically looking at this scorecard. So left to right, we have leave it, delete it, and then the scorecard details. Now, here's one of the most important things that you can have, and that's an account plan of attack. And I created this for you for 4 different accounts. You're going to have your strategy, your initial reason, your subsequent reason, the key factors of violations, and then your notes. And again, stay until the end so that you can access this as well as learn the key to removing any negative item from your credit report. So we're going to write down your fact targeting strategy. Then you're going to create your dispute reason, and your dispute reason should actually be created factually based off the Agero formula. And I have resources linked down in the description for that. And then what would your next best reason be after that first reason? So if you started with the date last paid, you would say, delete this account for inaccuracy because the date last paid reports 3 different dates, and then you would notate those dates. And then your next reason could be the notice of dispute. Delete this account for violation because you failed to enter the required notice of dispute pursuant to FCRA 623. So that's what it means to set the reason and then your next reason. And then what's your violation? So this is where we're going to log all of our violations. And this is going to turn not only into your account plan of attack, but also your violation log that you're going to take to the CFPB. So you can take your violations from that initial scorecard. So let's go back to the very first one. So when we have our notice of dispute and our date last reported violations, we're actually going to utilize those and put them on our violation log, as long as there's an actual violation. And then any additional information. You're going to do this for 4 accounts. Now, if you have more than 4 accounts, obviously you're going to make multiple copies of this. So now you've reached the end of this part, but we're beginning the very, very, very most important part of understanding how to remove any negative item from your credit report. But first, I'm going to tell you exactly where you can access this. You can access this entire thing at sendme2.co/POA, plan of attack. And you're going to get access to the account plan of attack, paid or settled, leave it or delete it, the strategy card, the charge-off tactics hierarchy chart, as well as the example documentation and the negative accounts list. Now, I will let you know, that when you access this, you may or may not be able to download it. If you cannot download it for whatever reason, you can just hit me up on the chat, which the link is going to be right on the first page of this. And you can let me know that you couldn't access it, and I will send it to you in PDF or PNG format. But the link to download is going to be at the top right. And you can always just use a tool like this one, the Furnisher capture tool, to capture your screen and then just print it out or save it. Okay. So let's get back to the most important part, which is the key to disputing and removing any negative item from your credit report. And that's going to be the notice of dispute. So the notice of dispute, you're going to need to write down the date of your first dispute receipt, right? So you need to send every single letter out certified. Then you need to pull your report on the 31st day and check to see if consumer disputes this account or disputed by consumer was entered. And if it's not, it's a violation of section 623. This is 623AC. Now, even though there's 6 different parts to this, and you can access this down in the description as well, this is part of the validation of debt, but understanding that a disputed account cannot continue to report on a credit report unless the notice of dispute was entered. You see how it says right here, responsibilities of furnishers of information to consumer reporting agencies, duty to provide notice of dispute. If the completeness or accuracy of any information furnished to any person to any consumer reporting agency is disputed, the person may not furnish the information to any consumer reporting agency without notice that such information is disputed by a consumer. What does that mean? It means that if you dispute something and by the 31st day after they receive your letter, it's actually the 30th day. That's why we're pulling the report on the 31st day. If that notice that the account was disputed is not entered, then that account cannot report on your credit report anymore. And that is why this validation of debt process is so important. Even if you are not disputing with the collectors or the creditors, you are disputing with the bureaus, and they cannot continue to report pursuant to FCRA 623A3 and even AC. This is the credit sweep secret that I have been using continuously since 2018 that has allowed me to remove over 50,000 negative items from my clients' credit reports. So when you go and you check out all these videos, a majority of them were actually created, these deletions and these score increases, by disputing the fact that the credit bureaus did not enter that required notice of dispute. So, for example, I removed $66,837 from this client's credit report, 132 points on this client's credit report, 79,000 from this client's credit report, 129 points in 30 days on this client's credit report, 325 points in 90 days on this client's credit report, 136 points in 60 days for this client, 329 points in 90 days for this client, 526 to 720 in 90 days for this client, 266 points for this client, 192 points for this client, 470 to 780 in 60 days for this client. That's 310 points for this one client, 304 points in 60 days for this client, 400 points for this client. I removed 450 collections from this client's credit report. So these are unbelievable, but there is one thing that they have in common. Not only that I'm the one that did it, but also I did it by attacking the violations and inaccuracies, but specifically the required notice of dispute that was not entered on the client's credit file. So if you want to access this link is also going to be down in the description. And again, you can see if you can schedule a call with me for me to do a credit sweep for you at my740.com. But one last time, to access everything that I've shown you, you're going to go to sendme2.co/POA, and you should be able to download it by using this download button that you're going to see at the top of the screen. You will need to provide your email address, and after you provide your email address, you should be able to download it. But again, if you have any issues with that, then use this link right here, and I'll give you the series via PDF and or PNG. But that is it for today. If you want to legally and permanently remove your negative items, it is going to be with a credit sweep. And I even explained the difference last night between a credit sweep and credit repair when I went live with this video. When I went live last night, I went over whether a credit sweep is faster than credit repair, and hands down, credit sweep was faster. And I give you all of the reasons why, as well as how you can do one yourself. So if you want to check that out, all you got to do is use the links down in the description. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Too many people are lying to you. It is not as simple as just writing one letter and sending it out. Do you see how many steps are behind me? There's what? 9 different steps, okay? Why are there 9 steps if it's as simple as every single person everywhere, all 68 million consumers who have bad credit sending out that same letter? It doesn't work like that. You hear me tell you this all the time. And again, I don't care if I got to be the bad guy. I will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, because I'm not trying to sell you anything. We want to come up with a permanent solution to this temporary problem. And yes, it is temporary. Bad credit doesn't last forever. There is a faster way than waiting 7 years. Step number 1 is always the same. You want to make it as difficult as possible for these people to go and say, oh, we don't have to do an investigation. It's verified, it's verified, it's verified. We need to go and we need to suppress and opt out. It's not just the 3 credit bureaus that exist. There's other places like SageStream and whatnot that we need to go and handle before we do our disputes. Once we do that, we also need to go and attack our personal information. If you are sending out a dispute to the credit bureaus as step number 1, you already lost. The way that this works is your personal information, your name, your address, it's attached to your accounts, right? So there's something called a geographical code, and this geographical code is what attaches these 2 things together. So by removing this personal information, which is not as easy as it sounds, you are going to get rid of that geographical code. And now the credit bureaus actually have to do an investigation. You're going to wait about like 10 days or so, okay? There needs to be a nice little period of waiting between personal information and your round 1 disputes. There's a bunch of different steps that you need to go through, and we are coming at them from all different direction. Now you suppressed, you did your personal information, you sent out your validation of debt disputes, you disputed with the credit bureaus, you made your CFPB, your AG, your BBB complaints. Now we're going to go and demand their actual proof of investigation, right? Because they're telling you that these things are verified. And even if they're not responding to you, by the continued reporting on your credit report, that is saying that is verified because it was not removed, right? So now we're going to go and we're going to demand all these different things. So the documentation, applications, contracts, proof that there was an investigation, proof that there was some sort of investigation beyond the usage of eOscar, right? In Cushman versus Trantanian from 1997, congressional opinion, and you might want to go look this up, was that the credit bureaus are actually required. They have a grave responsibility to ensure the accuracy of your credit report. They are required to go beyond the original source of information. Meaning that is what we're trying to do. Get this proof that there was something other than just the usage of eOscar, okay? And there's going to be a ton of stall tactics and scare tactics that they're going to send at you because they just want you to go away, right? Such as saying that you're working with a credit repair company. We don't believe that it's you. You didn't send your identification. We don't understand the nature of your dispute. Every single thing that you could possibly ask the credit bureaus as far as reasonable proof that they did investigation, that is what we are requesting. We are then going to go and again make a complaint to the same places, all right, when they go and say, hey, no, this is verified. Instead of disputing for a year, you are going to drastically decrease the amount of time that you're going to have to wait for these things to come off because you've gone through all of these steps. Yes, it is a lot of work. You could be inside that new house. You could be driving that new car. You could be opening your wallet and seeing something green called money. You need to learn how to do this the right way, learn how to do it quickly, and go out and get your result. The only person who is going to stop you from getting those results is you.
If you're ready to remove those negative items, then watch this entire video because I'm giving you my smoking gun disputes. What is that, you ask? Well, I'm about to show you. And not only that, you can access this entire thing. You see, we have the smoking gun dispute letter. And it may look simple, but looks are deceiving. Now, before we get started, smash that like, subscribe if you have not done so, and I will also let you know that this is the last weekend to get my credit repair course on steroids for just a one-time payment of $169. On Monday, it goes to $299 and it is not going to revert. Why do you need this? Well, first of all, this is guaranteed training. What does that mean? Well, if you go through this entire thing and it does not work for you, then guess what? I'm going to do a credit sweep for you, or I'm going to one-on-one mentor you, and that's a $2,500 minimum value right there. Now, that's the link right there on your screen. And yes, we're going to go over those 2 dispute letters, but this is so powerful because it includes everything that you could possibly have ever wanted to know as far as credit repair goes. The basics, advanced tactics, who the credit bureaus are, how to build your score, how to remove your negative items, and how to go and get those mortgages and those loans and those vehicles and credit cards, higher limits, all that kind of stuff. It's 12 years of everything that I've learned how to do packed into a very simple course. And this is the course right here, credit repair course on steroids, what you're looking at right on the screen right now. The bonuses, we have our PDFs, we have many, many things on here. This basics is 107 pages. The dispute letter tactics is 253 pages by itself. Credit bureaus, creditors, collectors, this is 118 pages. There's 144 dispute letters. That's 180 pages right there. And we also have the credit repair business. Do you want to know how to do this for other people? That is also included. And as a bonus, we're not even finished yet. As a bonus, you're also going to get the Credit Consultants Association study guides. And this shows you how to remove negative items, how to write dispute letters, how to increase your credit scores. And you're also getting access to 2 of my apps. It's not my newest one, Live Automation, but you get access to Live Letter as well as my web app that is for companies that do this for other people. Okay. So we're going to go over this a little bit later, but let's get over to the most effective dispute letter. And it is so simple. You're putting your personal information at the top. And just so you know, you can access this down in the description. We're not going over all of this because there's many sections to it, but you can access this using the link down in the description. You'll get it for free. Just drop your email. Okay. You're putting your personal information at the top, your name, date of birth, address, and your social. Okay. There's a very simple paragraph. And now we're going to be including a couple of things here. All right. If you have incorrect account information, things that you want to delete, then that's going to go right here. Okay. Now, if you have inquiries that you want to remove, we're going to include those. I'm disputing, the following inquiries, which I did not authorize. You're going to include the creditor name and the inquiry date. Okay. Remove incorrect personal information like your incorrect social, your date of birth, your addresses. Update personal information. This is the current address. This is the current name. I recently got married. Get rid of my maiden name. My current employer is XYZ, and you have my date of birth wrong. This is my date of birth. I'm allowing you 30 days to complete this investigation, after which I authorize you to mail me my updated credit reports. You see the language there, and then your name, and that's it. No signature. I give you the addresses to dispute, how to write your letter, how to identify yourself, different identification pieces that you need to include and why, how to dispute an account with the credit bureaus, whether by phone, mail, online, or fax. And we're just going to spend a second on this, but if you have ever disputed online, unfortunately, you did something wrong. You should never dispute online, and you should never get on the phone. And this is not a point of view thing. This is a fact. You see, these conveniences that you are provided they're not a convenience to you. It may look like a simple process, but you are actually doing the credit bureaus a favor. You see, first thing that you need to know is that the credit bureaus make consumers agree to these innocuous sounding waivers, which in fact make you give up your rights to reinvestigation and a couple of other things. Second, without a proper paper trail, the credit bureaus do not have the fear or, threat of lawsuits. Okay. So the credit bureaus can take online and phone disputes less seriously. This means less thoroughly investigated disputes that lead to items not being deleted from the credit report. So use your physical credit report and mail or fax these. And if you're going to mail them, it needs to go out certified because we need to have our paper trail. Okay. We also have common mistakes to avoid with the credit bureau disputes. And I'm not going to go over these. You can access this down in the description with the link, what accounts you should never challenge with the credit bureaus. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Even though this says that, if it's super recent and it's within the statute of limitations, you shouldn't dispute. The reason I'm telling you this is because 9 out of 10 times it's going to be disputed wrong, and you're going to put the limelight above your head. You're going to say, hey, come sue me, and I don't want you to get in trouble. However, if you take my course or you go through my 1600 videos, I show you the exact way to do this the right way without fear of getting in trouble. Okay. So yes, you have a due process to dispute inaccurate information on your credit report, but there's a specific way we are going to do this. Okay. Types of accounts that you can remove from your credit report, how to dispute recent late payments and recent collections, what to do if the credit bureaus do not correct your credit report, and how to file complaints against them. And then how to use Section 604, method of verification, a method of verification sample letter on here. And if this doesn't work, the link is already on your screen, my740.com. You're just going to schedule a call with me. And if I can help, I may possibly offer services. And if I can't, then I'm going to tell you, your best next steps. Okay. Now, this, as simple as it seems, is my smoking gun dispute letter. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to dispute your accounts. I have many other videos spanning many years that show you how to do this, but this is how to write your smoking gun dispute letter. It is very, very straightforward. Okay. You're going to have your name, your address, your date of birth, your social at the top. You're going to have today's date. Don't backdate. Okay. It's going to go based off of when they received your dispute. It is not going to go based off of when you dated your letter. All right. You're going to have the credit bureau's name and the address. And then we have only 3 parts to this besides your name at the end. Okay. We have our why paragraph. We have our what as far as what we're disputing, and we have a closing. That's it. You don't see where it says enter this law and state this. No, we're not doing that. That's not how you remove negative items. And how can I say that? It's because men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. I have a whole playlist that shows you that I increase credit scores hundreds of points. I remove hundreds of negative items from credit reports. And that's because it's a very, very simple, very specific process. And it's not by sending out 4 pages of these law heavy disputes. Okay. Your why paragraph, just as you see, it only has 3 parts. The reason why you're writing the letter, that's 1 sentence. I'm writing this dispute to you because of XYZ. I pulled my credit report and I see inaccuracies. I'm getting a job and you have my personal information incorrect. Whatever it is, it's 1 sentence. The second thing is what you want them to do. Investigate inaccuracies, delete false information, etc. 1 to no more than 2 sentences. And then part 3, request a new credit report. Now, this part is the key to removing your negative items. Your what paragraph, okay? What you're disputing. And it has 3 parts: creditor name, account number, and the reason for your dispute. An example of this would be delete for violation because the date last paid was reaged and reports as this on Experian, this on Equifax, and this on TransUnion. And obviously those would have 2 different dates, okay? You're going to do this for every single account that you have. You don't have to send them in batches, 1, 2, 3 accounts, at most. No, you're going to do them all at once. I don't care if you have 144, medical accounts or collections or charge-offs. They can all go in the same letter. It doesn't matter. Now, normally I say no more than 10 accounts per letter, but that's because we're trying to bog down the system. So if you have 20 accounts, send out 2 letters. Yeah, you're going to have 2 letters for Equifax, 2 letters for TransUnion, 2 letters for Experian. You send them out on different dates, okay? But we're not trying to make this complicated. We're not trying to talk about formulas and different structures. Put your accounts on here, and they have 3 different parts to it. The very last part is your 1-line closing. Thanks in advance for your expedited resolution to this. Thank you. Please send me a new credit report, XYZ, okay? And your name and no signature. Now, there's one optional part to this, and that's putting enclosed your exhibits, your identification, CFPB complaint, whatever you're including in it. Okay. Now, one thing that you want to keep in mind is that if you can print it this way, you're going to want to. Page 1 on the front is going to be your accounts, okay, your letter. On the back, you're going to put your identification and your exhibits, all right? This way, the credit bureaus cannot say, we got your letter, but we didn't get your identification. Yeah, you did. You scanned both sides and you got my identification. All right. So, if you don't have anything included in this other than your identification, then you don't have to put that on there. Okay. This is simple. It is straightforward and this works. You can walk away from this video and implement these things today and send out your disputes tomorrow. Okay. Speaking of which, again, we have the course. If you want to learn how to remove these things permanently from your credit report, then this is the way that you want to do it. And again, you can access this right now, this weekend. Today is October 21st. You can get it October 21st and October 22nd for just $169. After that, it is going to $299. And there's no reason why you should pay that if you've seen this video prior to that date. Okay. So if you want to remove these legally, permanently, you want to get the best possible strategies, things that people are not using. You want dispute letter structures. You want, a couple different apps. You want to know how to increase your credit scores and you want to move on with your life, then you can use these. And it's very, very simple. The link is on your screen and that is it. So you got access to the most effective dispute letter training, and you also got access to the smoking gun letter. All right. Now, if you want to see if I can do this for you instead of you doing it yourself, it's very simple. My740.com. That link is on your screen right now. The way that it works is you schedule a call with me to see if I can do a credit sweep for you. And that is it. If I can offer services to you, I will. If I can't, I will recommend something. It is as simple as that. All right. So I will see you tomorrow. I will see you next time. If you want to access the most effective dispute letter training as well as the smoking gun dispute letter, then that link is going to be down in the description. But that's it. Have a great day. 250 collections removed from this client's credit report in just 60 days. Was it magic? No, it wasn't magic. There was a specific method that I used, and it's called the Guaranteed Deletion Debt Validation Dispute Method, and you can access that link down in the description, and we're going to go over it right now. You can access the link to the video, the link to the method, and you can also access the link to schedule a call with me, which you can see right at the top of your screen right now, my740.com, to see if I can do it for you. Now, we're using two very specific laws, and you hear me talk about the notice of dispute all the time, but a lot of people don't believe it. And no, we're not going over this entire thing because otherwise there would be no reason to sell it, right? But you're going to get access to all of the laws, all of the letters, all of the know-how so that you can do this too if you so choose to. And a lot of the times, 9 times out of 10, you are actually not going to have to go to small claims court. None of my clients actually have in the last 5 years. All right. But it does include the letters as well as the exact know-how if you need to actually sue the credit bureaus or the data furnisher. So let's get to it. Well, first of all, I need you to smash that like and subscribe if you haven't done so, because this is exactly where you are going to learn how to do exactly this. Remove those negative items, go out and get that life that you need, that credit that you need, because hello, I'm the only one giving away secrets for free here. So we're dealing with two very specific laws, as you can see on your screen, FCRA 623A3 and FDCPA 8078. That's these two right here. Now, we're going to go over just this part right here, but there's something very specific that you need to see on here. And I'm going to show you part 1 and part 3 dispute letters in just a moment. So make sure that you stick around until the end so you know exactly how to do this. You see, it says that anytime a consumer disputes with the data furnisher, they are required to notify the credit bureaus that the account is in dispute. It says to such person by a consumer, the person may not furnish. Listen right here. This is the magic. The person may not furnish this information to any consumer reporting agency without the notice that it has been disputed. Now, here's the thing though. You need to be able to prove that you actually disputed it. So it needs to go out certified. And you're going to want to check out the short that I have linked down in the description from last night that explains exactly why. So you need to have your credit reports. You need to have your dispute letters. You need to be able to prove that you actually sent and it was received. So that's the certified mail. And the magic is it cannot report without this. But there's a couple of things that you need to know, like the timing. What is the timing? It's 30 days. That notice after dispute, after they receive your dispute, must be on there within 30 days. Not 60, not 45, not 120, not a year later, but within 30 days. If it is not there When you pull your new report on that 31st day, then now they are in violation of FCRA 623 and 8078 of the FDCPA. Why? Because 8078 of the FDCPA says exactly the same thing right here. Communicating or threatening to communicate to any person credit information which is known or which should be known to be false, including the failure to communicate that a disputed debt is disputed. So the bottom line here, my friend, is that it cannot report unless there is the notice that it has been disputed. And it'll say something super, super simple, like consumer disputes is debt. It doesn't matter what it says or how it says it, but that notice must be on there in the comment section within 30 days from the date that they receive your certified mail. Now, if you're not sending out certified, you need to start, because there's no way for you to prove that they received that dispute letter that you sent. They can say, hey, we didn't receive it, and so therefore we're not in violation. But when you have that certified mail, you are able to prove, yes, you got it, and no, you didn't put it on there, because here's my first credit report, here's my dispute letter, here's my certified mail, and here is my new credit report on the 31st day after you received that, and it is not there. Almost never, I repeat, almost never, 90% of the time, they are not going to put it on there. And this is also why we are disputing with the collector first, and then we're disputing with the bureaus. Now, when you dispute with the bureaus, this part is really simple. When we dispute with the bureaus, we are actually doing something a little bit different. We're not using laws and this, that, and the third. We're saying, hey, I don't know what this is. This collection, this, unloaned medical collection account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's unknown. You are putting the burden of proof on them to verify this account, and they won't be able to. They're not going to have the documentation, and failure to have that documentation means that they must remove it from your credit report. All right. I disputed them with the bureaus. I disputed them with the collectors. I used FCRA 623A3 and I got it removed. So here is, and as you can see, it's very simple. This is to the collector. Okay. You're going to put your information on here. You're going to fill that out where it's highlighted. Everything else stays the same. And they need, they only have 30 days. Okay. If they don't do it, there's letter 2, which we're not going over. And then we have letter 3. So in total, there's 4 letters to the bureaus and there's 4 letters to the collector or the data furnisher. This is letter 3. And this is after they have failed to enter the required notice of dispute. And we're also notifying them that they failed to enter that notice that the account was disputed. And therefore, if they don't remove it right now, you are going to sue them and they're going to have to pay you $1,000. Now, my question to you is, do you think that the bureaus or the data furnisher is going to want to pay you? No, they're just going to get this account removed. So how was I able to go and remove all of these accounts, these 250 collections in 60 days for this client? It was by using this exact method where I am disputing with the collectors directly. Everything went out certified, and then I disputed with the bureaus, and I was able to literally remove everything. As you can see, when you go and check out this video, again, linked down in the description, you're going to see all 250 collections, and you are going to see that on the next report. Hello, they're just not there. Okay. So if you want to see if I can personally do this for you, that, maybe you need some help with this. Maybe you don't know how to do this. Maybe you have other things on there, collections, charge-offs, repos, foreclosures, bankruptcy, judgments, and you're not sure of how to get results, especially results like this. Head over to my740.com, schedule a call with me, and I will see if I can help. So many people are only disputing with the credit bureaus, and you're missing out if you're not also utilizing the debt validation method. Debt validation allows you to dispute directly with the data furnisher. You are disputing with the bureaus, you're disputing with the creditors, you are disputing with the collectors. The entire point of this whole process is basically to catch them in a violation of Section 623 and or FDCPA 8078. When you are disputing with the bureaus using factual disputes, you are already ahead of the game because you're using the actual information on your credit report to ensure that you are basically getting the best possible deletions. But when you add this additional layer on top of this, and you're also spitting out these collection disputes, these original creditor disputes, then you're giving yourself that extra possibility to remove these things as quickly as possible. You're going to send out letter 1, validation of debt, directly to the collector. On the 30th day, 31st day, you're going to pull your credit report and check for that notice of dispute. Now, they don't know that we're looking for the notice of dispute, and that is the beauty of this entire thing. there's only 4 letters. There's letter 1 that you send out to the collector, letter 2 if they respond or don't respond, letter 3 when we hit them with that violation, FDCPA 8078 and FCRA 623, and there's the letter that you send when you're actually going to take them to court, okay? The secret to the entire credit sweep process is that notice of dispute. A lot of people have been telling me that, and even with my own clients, that they're not seeing that the account has been disputed. And that's okay. We don't want them to put it on there. What happens is that when you dispute something, it's supposed to say in the comment section of your account that the account has been disputed. And if it's not there, then you know what? That account cannot report. And that's why these things are so important, because we can use them against them. So letter 3 goes after notice to dispute. Now, when you're disputing factually with the credit bureaus, you can also go after that required notice of dispute. 4 different FCRA and FDCPA laws that you need to know about so that you can remove your negative items. Do you know what 623 is? Do you know what FDCPA 807 is? Do you know what's really behind 1681? Do you know what 611 does? Well, if you don't, then right now you need to pay attention, because I'm going to explain it. Can you remove negative items from your credit report? Yes, you can. I had someone submit a comment on my videos that said, if I use this law that you're talking about, they should instantly remove my negatives, right? Why would it go in your credit report to begin with? Why would that law even exist? Why wouldn't they just remove it instantly? It does not work like that. And if we don't fight for the things that we want, then we're not going to get these removed. They are not obligated to give us these things. When they go on your credit report, they are supposed to stay there for the full statute of limitations, which is 7 years. It can't be verified if it's incomplete or if it is inaccurate. It has to be removed. How do you force them to do that? It's really simple. You see, there's many ways to dispute negative items, right? I mean, obviously, okay, you can do the legal identity theft method. You can dispute them online. You can send in templates that the bureaus receive 1.5 million, times per month. You can use Metro 2. You can use Factual. Now, the only one that I use personally with my clients over the past 12 years has been Factual. They know when you are just taking a letter from the internet and filling in your personal information and then faxing it or mailing it. They know that, and it's going to kick it back as verified as accurate, even though they did no such investigation. This is why we use the actual facts taken directly from the credit report, right? And that is how I get my results. When we go and prove that they have 3 different dates, and we use the stuff from the credit report, such as a screenshot, as an exhibit to prove this, then now we are forcing their hand to remove it from the credit report, because we are not just saying it. We're not asking them to do anything. We are forcing them to actually take action and remove it from the credit report. One of the most frustrating parts of fixing your credit is having to deal with credit bureau stall tactics, because they want you to go away as cheaply and quickly as possible. However, I'm going to show you how to beat one of their 5 major stall tactics today when they come back and say, we don't believe it was you, or you're working with a third-party credit repair company, or it was an unauthorized party that submitted your dispute. And we'll talk about a couple of the other stall tactics in a little while. Now, before we get started, make sure to give a little tap to that like and subscribe if you haven't done so that you can learn how to remove your negative items, increase your score, and go out and get the credit that you deserve. And this is actually going to allow you to prove, hey, yeah, it was me. It has your personal information at the top. So you have your name, your address, signature. It's going to be signed in the presence of a notary. And then they're going to do their part on here as well, including providing their notary seal. Now, if you want a copy of this, you can use the link down in the description, and then you can go and print this out and send it with your next dispute. This way, they will not be able to use one of, again, their 5 major stall tactics against you, and they'll have to either investigate or choose another route. But this is the checkmate to this stall tactic. It allows you to get that investigation and not have to worry about getting either an email from Experian denying your dispute, something else that states that they're not going to investigate your dispute. If you want to access this, again, the link is down in the description. All you do is provide your email and it will allow you to download this. Now, a couple of the other stall tactics, I started to mention it, but a couple of the other stall tactics that you want to be aware of are going to be when they come back and say is frivolous. Another one is when they say that you didn't provide your identification. A little note on that is to include your identification, not as an additional page, but print it out on the back side of your first page. If you want to access this, again, the link is down in the description. But if you want to learn how to beat all 5 major stall tactics, I already have something for you, and it's a 30 minutes of understanding the stall tactics. It's called the stall tactics session, and I've tagged that product right here. Now, if you don't want to deal with any of this, because yes, it is frustrating, that's the entire point, you can use the link that you see at the top of the screen and schedule a call with me to see if I can do the credit sweep for you. Do not allow the credit bureaus to make you go away. It's not about what they do. This notarized document is going to allow you to get faster results, because again, it takes away some of that power that the credit bureaus have. I'm going to show you something that looks like a magic trick, but it's really not. You see, this client signed up August 25th, and this is their August 30th report. And as you can see, their credit scores are kind of in the tank, right? TransUnion 493, Experian 488, and Equifax 487. However, October 3rd's credit report shows a little bit of something that looks like magic. You see, this client jumped 232 points on one bureau, 223 on the other bureau, and on the third, 210. And I'm not just telling you, I'm going to show you right now. So here we go. Let's scroll down. This shows that is October 3rd, 2023. And when we go and look at TransUnion, we have 703, Experian 711, and Equifax 719. That means that we increased 210 points on TransUnion, 223 points on Experian, and 232 points on Equifax. So if it wasn't magic, what was it? Well, I have an entire playlist that you're seeing right here that's also linked down in the description that shows you hundreds of score increases in a very short period of time, as well as hundreds of deletions that I've gotten my clients. So if you want to do this yourself, you can check out the links down in the description, or you can head over to my740.com to see if I can do a credit sweep for you. See, this client right here got a $450,000 loan approval, and this client right here got 450 negative items removed in 30 days. This client, 300 plus credit score increase in just 30 days. Go check out these videos yourself and see the magic for yourself, because you know what? Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going over correct versus incorrect dispute reason examples, and you specifically asked for me to create this for you. So thanks for that request. All right, make sure to smash that like so that I know exactly what type of content that you want for me to create for you, and subscribe if you haven't done so. So let's get started. If you take a look over on the incorrect side, these are the types of dispute reasons you do not want to be using. Now, if you are, I do specifically recommend that you stop right now and start inserting those facts. All right, so we're going to go over correct. I'll give you the incorrect example and we'll move on to the next one. All right, so first one, remove this late payment on April 2020 because my payment was not late. Update to paid on time, never late for inaccuracy. The incorrect version of this is the late payment history is wrong. Now, I do hope that you can see the difference between the two of these. If you don't, put it down in the comments and let me know that you need a little bit more clarification as why you don't want to use that incorrect dispute reason, all right? And I also want for you to use the comment section below to let me know what else you are specifically struggling with that I can create content for, all right? Stop reporting this collection because it's unknown. The incorrect way is Section 609 states that you are required to send me a contract with my wet signature. Otherwise, the account needs to be removed. Number 3, update this account to reflect paid on time, never late for inaccuracy. This is not a collection and has been paid consistently each month. The incorrect version of this is update for incorrect reporting. Now, let's pause there really quick. If you want to access this so that you can go over it at your own pace, use the link down in the description. It's 100% free and you can go and print it out or store it in your vault or whatever you'd like to do. All right. Remove the inaccurate late payment history showing 90 days late for the month of April 2020 because there are no late payments prior to this, such as 30 or 60. Update to paid as agreed. The incorrect version of this is that FCRA requires that you report the late payment history accurately, and if not, you're required under 1681 to correct the account to report that I paid on time. Failing this, I will have no other choice other than to pursue legal action. Now, why are we doing it this way? Well, we have the action, the reason, the justifier, and the outcome, and the element, and that is using the Agero formula. The Agero formula is something that I coined, and that has allowed me, using this formula, to get over 50,000 deletions in about the past 4 years or so. So does this work? Yes, it's a science. Delete this account for violation of Section 623 for failure to enter the required notice of dispute within 30 days. That is the correct one. The incorrect one would be Section 623 stipulates that you must enter the required notice of dispute within 30 days of the date that you received my first dispute letter. Failing this, you are liable for a violation pursuant to said section, and I will seek legal remedies if you do not immediately delete this account. Why do we not want to use that? Well, it doesn't sound like a regular person wrote it, and you just need to tell them that it's a violation and they need to remove it, all right? Delete this account because each bureau reports a different date last paid. Experian, date, Equifax, date, TransUnion, date. The incorrect way would be date last active is incorrect, delete account. This account needs to be removed from my credit report because first dated delinquency reports as April 2020, which is incorrect. The incorrect version of this is first dated delinquency is wrong. Second to last, remove the inaccurate late payment history between April 2020 and June 2020 because each bureau reports different information. Experian reports April and June late, Equifax reports May late, TransUnion reports on time all 3 months. Incorrect version of this, all 3 bureaus have late payment history wrong. Remove these late payments. As you can see, there are no facts that support your argument, and this is why it is incorrect. You have to remember that when you're using the Gero formula, you have to plug in the facts to support your reason, all right? Now, the last one is remove this inquiry because of false reporting. It does not meet one of the requirements for the reporting of an inquiry, and you can even throw in the section for this. All right, the incorrect version of this is this inquiry must be removed for violation due to the fact that I did not receive a firm offer of credit, which is the only reason for an inquiry to be reported. In consideration of the fact that it is not for employment, insurance, court order, etc., you must immediately delete this from my credit report. Otherwise, it is considered false reporting. Now, if you want to learn more about factual disputes and how to remove negative items from your credit report and even closed accounts from your credit report, check out the other 800 videos that I have right here on my channel going back to 2015. And again, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Oh, as an afterthought, if you're struggling to get results or you want to see if a professional credit sweep can help you fix your credit, head over to my740.com today to schedule a call with me, and I will see if I can help. I'll see you next time. A couple different ways to go after accounts, and today I'm going to prove to you that that is just not so. So we're going to look at a bunch of different accounts on a credit report that need to remove, including student loans, collections, and charge-offs, all right? Specifically, what you should be looking at and why you're looking at it and why it works, okay? So let's start with the first one, and this is Navient, which is a student loan, and they are notorious for doing one thing, and I'm going to point it out right now. Let me see if I could spotlight this. Let's see how Spotlight works. All right, so if you look right here, let me just scroll down a little bit. Let's do this. Okay, we're going to scroll down a little bit. I'm going to spotlight what I'm talking about just so you can see where. Okay, down here in the payment history, we have October 2020, 90 days late. But look at September. Okay. Look at August. Okay. So how is it? Tell me, answer this for me. Post it on the comments and tell me what you think. How is it that we can be okay for July, August, and September, and then all of a sudden be 90 days late? Dude, that is not possible, okay? And this is the way that I not only remove the entire account, but remove the late payments. And you'll see this if you take my mini course on how to remove and update student loan accounts, all right? And I might post that down in the description, but otherwise, this is really, really straightforward. You cannot have 90 days late right after being on time for 3 months. You know what that means? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you what it means, and then I'm going to tell you why. It means that July, August, and September are, well, actually, August and September would be 30 days, 60 days, and then 90 days late in October if this were reported correctly. But they report it this way because they don't report you as late until you're 90 days late. Now, I don't care about that. I don't care about that, all right? I don't care that they wait to report you as late, like they're doing you a solid or something, okay? I don't care about that. The FCRA states specifically how an account should report and how this should be handled, and guess what? It should start at 30 days late, then 60, then 90. And even if it doesn't say that, this means August and September are reported inaccurately. So you can use this to remove this account entirely. So what you would do is you would say that this account needs to be removed because August and September 2020 are reported inaccurately, and that October cannot report as just 90 days late without prior late payments. All right. Now, furthermore, you can go way into the other parts of this payment history. Look, we have 120, 180, 180, 150. This is all over the place. All right. Choose a date, dispute it, and you'll get it removed. Now, let's look at the other parts of this account. Okay, so we have monthly payment. That's fine. That's fine. We have open date. I don't really care about that. We have balance. Pretty much the same. Yep. So number of months. So you don't have a lot to work with on this account except for the late payment history. And I promise you, if you use this and you use it correctly and you use it consistently with student loans, and you can get these removed. And guess what? This client has a ton of them. They have a ton of them. All right. So this is the way that you get these removed. I do it all the time. I've been doing it for 10 years and this works. Okay. This is called factual based disputes. Now here we go with another account. This is not a student loan. This is a credit union. This is an installment secured loan, and we have late payments that are just all over the place. Look, December 2016, we have TransUnion reports okay. We have Experian and Equifax, a report 30 days late. Then we have in January, 60 days late, but also okay for TransUnion. And then the rest of the payment history also doesn't make any sense. But prior to that, it's all on time. So there's a couple of things that we can do here. Now, because there are multiple late payments, I probably wouldn't go after this account to get it updated, but you can try. All right. Now, here's another thing that you want to look at. Over here, we have payment status, 30 days late. But check out the balance. We have a zero balance across the board. So how can I be late by 30 days with a balance of zero? That is not possible. That's not possible. Okay. So what you can do is you can first go after the late payments to try to get them updated, but you're not going to update this payment status without first going after the whole balance trifecta thing here. Okay. So first of all, dispute the whole late 30 days zero balance issue. Then go after these late payments and get them removed in groups of two. So go after December, and then January, and then February and March, and then May and June, and then end with these three here. Now, the problem is that this account ends in late payments. There are no further payment, updated payments on here, but it's missing because the balance is zero. This client did pay this account at some point. So that means that we are missing some payment history right here. And it says date of last payment was 9/20/2017. However, where do you see that? Where do you see that on here? Do you see 9/20/2017 as having been paid? I don't. So what's the real deal behind this account? I don't know. And look at Equifax. Equifax says 5/1/2017, yet that's versus 9/1/2017. So there's a lot of stuff on this account that you can work with to get this account updated. And, if this is just a thing of like, hey, I don't want to update it, I want to remove it, then what you're going to want to do is go after this payment history here. Mention that these are all over the place. You can use it as an image if you want to, but I would probably just state the dates. Remove this account for inaccuracy because the payment history shows blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then now let's go find another account. So I hope that this is making sense. Let's go see if we can find a charge off. I know that I saw one. Okay. So let's look at this one. So we have a Verizon account. Verizon is extremely difficult. And let's just pause right there just for a second. We are using factual based disputes for the credit sweep process to remove these from the credit report. Okay, we are not using regular credit repair. We are not using templates. We are not stating a bunch of laws. We are taking the information directly off the credit report, and that is why I'm showing you this stuff, all right? So let's continue. Verizon. Verizon is very difficult and must be disputed a specific way. All right, so we don't have any payment history. Look down here. There's literally nothing in the payment history, and you are going to find that a lot with Verizon. All right, so let's first look at date last active. We have 7/2015 and 10/2014. Dude, we're dealing with 2 different years and 2 different months. That is not possible. So what this means is that this account is naturally going to come off at two different times. One that is 7 years after the 2014, and the other 7.5 years after 2015. All right. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do here. Look at the payment status. We have collection charge off and we have late 120 days. How does that make sense? It does not make sense. All right. So the very first thing that you're going to want to do is go after the date last active. Then if that doesn't work, even though we're dealing with the same dates, you're going to go after date last payment. All right. Now, another thing is that this account was disputed and yet does not have a notice of dispute, which is required pursuant to section 623 within 30 days of the date that they received the first dispute. You can use that to get the account removed. All right. So there's so many things on this account right here. Look, paid derogatory. How can it be literally two totally different things? It doesn't make any sense. Use this to your advantage. All right. So let's go and look at another type of account. Here we go with Kohl's Capital One. As you can see, there's only one thing in the payment history, and that is charge off. All right. Now, some of these companies will only do what's called derogatory reporting, where they only report you as, report on your credit report, when you have a negative status with them, like when you don't pay a utility bill. Other companies do life reporting of the account where they consistently report. However, if you are supposed to be reporting the life of the account, then why am I only seeing charge off without any other payment history? Why is it that only Equifax is reporting a payment history? That doesn't make any sense. So we can go after missing information, but your biggest thing right here is going to be date last active. Why does a date last active have such an impact? If you know the answer to this question, post it down in the comments. Please, somebody, please answer this question. Do you know why date last active works? Do you know why this is at the top of the impact? Why is it the top of the pyramid method? Why is it the top of the dispute funnel? Well, I'm going to answer this for you if you don't know. Again, I already told you this is the date that stipulates when the account will naturally fall off the credit report. So if it is the wrong date, if it's been re-aged, it's going to add additional time to the credit report. Would you rather wait 7 years as you're supposed to, unless you obviously remove it before it's supposed to come off, or would you rather wait 14 years? If you don't realize that we're dealing with 2 times the amount of time, if it's 14 years, if it is illegally re-aged, then unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about a little bit of math, all right? But using common sense, you would understand right off the bat that you would rather have it come off in less time than more time, right? So that is why this is so important. So look at this. We have 4/18/2017, 11/1/2017, 8/1/2017. And date last payment, we have 7/31/2017, 7/31/2017, and 8/1/2017. Furthermore, let's go and look for the notice of dispute. No notice of dispute. No notice of dispute. No notice of dispute. So this stuff right here at the bottom is so freaking important because it's going to remove the account the fastest. And the fastest legal deletions are what we're looking for. Okay, so let's go and check out the high balance. Right here where it says high credit, we have 400, 0, and 291. I don't really care about the 0 because the 0 is kind of like non-reporting. But what I do care is that we have two totally different numbers, 400 and 291. All right. So how is this possible? It is not possible. This is inaccurate. The account has to be removed. And now let's go find something else. All right. So if you're wondering how you would use these as a dispute reason, you would very simply state that this account needs to be removed because the date last active is reported as such. The date last paid is reported as such. The required notice of dispute was supposed to be there within 30 days. It was not entered, and it needs to be removed pursuant to section 623. So on and so forth. Well, what about the charge off down here for Equifax? Why is that not on here? I mean, there's so much to use on here that like I could literally go on for like hours, and we're not going to do that. So Target. Let's look at wonderful old Target. So let me get the spotlight again, and let's go down here, and we're pretty much looking at the same thing. Let's pull this down just a little bit. So in the payment history, we don't really have much to deal with. It's again reported as okay on Equifax, and you already know that that's inaccurate because it is not reported as okay. All right. This is derogatory, and it's also part of the wage earner plan for a bankruptcy. Okay, so right off the bat, look at the comments. We don't have the notice of dispute. Right off the bat, look at the date last active, 4/2017, 12/2017, and 8/2017. Same year, 3 different months. Date last paid, 7/17, nothing, and 8/1/2017. This should remove the account right here. Look at date last reported. Why does date last reported matter? If you know the answer to this, post it down in the comments. The date reported, the status update date, the status date, the status reported date. This is all the same type of date. And what it means is when the bureaus verified this account as, verified it as accurate, right? So you didn't touch this account since 2017, yet you told me this account was verified as accurate, which means that you did not do any investigation, and therefore this account needs to be removed. In addition to the fact that you didn't update this date, you didn't enter the required notice of dispute into the comment section, which means that this account needs to be removed. Furthermore, the date last payment is not on here, and you are not reporting any payment history. All right, so remove this freaking account now. Okay, so let's go and look at a couple of other things. And we are moving quickly through this because there's a lot of information and I don't want to be explaining this stuff all day. Now, this is pretty much the same thing. Now, I do have a video specifically on how to handle accounts that are only reported on one bureau. This is where understanding how an account should and should not be reported comes into play, because otherwise, it's really just a thing of comparing bureaus, and that's just not enough. That's not going to get you the results that you need. That's not going to get you the credit score that you need, all right? So to remove the account, we need to understand that this account should have a date last paid. We should also understand that this account was disputed and they did not enter the required notice of dispute. We should also understand that this account was disputed and they verified it as accurate and yet did not update the date last reported, which means that they did not do an investigation. All right. And where is the payment history? Where's the payment history? It's not there. All right. So this account needs to be removed for multiple reasons. And no, we are not going and putting all these reasons in the same account on the same letter. We are spacing them out because we don't want to put all of our ducks in one basket or all of our eggs. I don't care what you put in the basket, but it's not going to be all your dispute reasons. Now, this basically follows the same structure that we don't have payment history. We don't have a date last paid. They verified it and didn't update it. A bunch of stuff. All right. So now we are going to go down. Here's a great one for you. Portfolio Recovery. It's your favorite company, right? So they are a debt collector. And because Equifax reports the account number differently than the other two bureaus, they separate it. So we have Capit and then the account number. So because they're not reported next to each other, obviously I'm not going to be able to show you that, but this is really, really simple. There are certain things that shouldn't report. Like we shouldn't have a payment history here. This client did not pay this. So there's obviously a balance. This account was disputed and was updated after it was quote unquote verified as accurate. It is not late 120 days. You could use that to get it off. And the date last active was not 7/1/17. Now, that just reminded me, a lot of people get this messed up. So the way that all right, I had to pause my recording and back up for a second, but a lot of people get this whole open date thing misconstrued. This open date is not the actual date that this account was open. So you cannot use this to get the account removed. This is the date that the collection agency acquired the account or the debt buyer acquired the account when it was purchased. Okay, so let's go and find another account. So this one is okay. This one is okay. This one is a collection, and we are very, very simply going to do a couple of things on this one. This is also a single reporting. So let's go look at the payment history. So payment history, and this is a beautiful, beautiful thing that we can use. There's only about like 2 more minutes left to this video. Here we go. Payment history. Look at these beauties down here. Choose a date, dispute it, go back to the oldest date that you see, July 2019, and say, I was not late. Am I telling you to lie? No, honey, no, I'm not telling you to lie. But what I am telling you to do is put the burden of proof on the bureaus. That is your job. All right. Put the burden on them. And it is their job to determine whether it's accurate or not. All right. So don't have them make things be your job where they say, hey, reach out to the creditor and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So now take a look at this. Charge off. Dude, there should only be one charge off. Okay. It should not be reported twice on there. All right. Now, this account was disputed recently. It was not updated. It was verified. And this is not the correct date last active. You can reach directly out to that, the furnisher, whoever they are, get the actual date last active, and you can prove to the bureaus that they are incorrect and tell them to remove the account. Don't give them the option to just update it. Okay. Now let's go and quickly find another one. This account is okay. This account is okay. This account is okay. And this account is okay. This account is okay. And this account is okay. So I believe there's another one down here. Here's the other portfolio recovery. And this is perfect. This is beautiful. We have a violation. 12/1/2017. This account was re-aged to 8/24/2021. The older date, 9 times out of 10, is going to be the date that is correct. And even if it's not correct, we're going to say that it's correct because this account was re-aged. Re-age is where they add additional time to it. So this means going back to the whole purpose of using date last active, that this account is going to fall off a couple of years after, technically, 4 years after it comes off on Experian. Why would you want to allow them to do that? You cannot, okay? And as you can see, they actually used the date that they verified it as the date that they the date last active. Okay, so this is a major violation, and you need to go after it. All right. So there's so many things that you can look for on a credit report to get it removed. And it really just comes down to understanding how an account should be reported. Here's another one. IC Systems, very simply, use the validation of debt and reach out directly to them. NW Financial, for Heartland Clinics, same thing, validation of debt. NW Financial, validation of debt, same thing for this. And this client actually has quite a few collections on here. They also obviously have the bankruptcy. So there is so much that you can use to get these accounts removed. Every single account on here, including their bankruptcy, can come off. And it just comes down to, again, understanding how an account should and should not be reported. Okay, so I have 500 videos that show you how to dispute the right way using factual-based disputes for credit sweeps to get anything off a credit report: collections, foreclosures, repossessions, charge-offs, late payments, bankruptcies, judgments, tax liens, you name it, it can come off as long as it's not child support. That is the one thing that I do not dispute. And if you want it done for you, then use the link at the top of your screen and schedule a call with me, okay? Because you know what? Maybe you don't want to do this yourself, and that's totally fine. I will help you if I can. As far as having some additional help, well, guess what? I also have an app that does everything for you, and it is called Live Letter Automation Tool, and you can use the link down in the description. And this is actually the end of my launch, and I even have an awesome guarantee that you are never going to see again. So go check those out. The links are at the top of the screen. I have some other links down in the description for you, but I'm here to answer any questions. If you haven't, post them down in the comments, and I will see you later. But please remember, use all of your available tools and options to remove your accounts before going to the CFPB, because guess what? If you don't exhaust your remedies before going to them, they are not going to take you seriously, and you are not going to get anything to come from your complaints. All right. So that's the end of this today. We went over the specific things that you can look for to remove all different types of accounts, including charge-offs, student loans, late payments, and some other stuff. All right. So if you found value in this video, and I do apologize that my computer is going off, but with the whole bling blings, but if you found value in this video, then make sure to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't done so, and I will see you later. Do you want to remove negative items from your credit report? Regular credit repair is just not going to do it. You need to learn how to do a credit sweep, and that's exactly what I've been showing you for the last 9 years. Now, recently we've been talking about 2 very specific violations against the notice of dispute and the date last paid, the illegal reaging. And you can access those videos down in the description. Now, first of all, if you need proof that a credit sweep is actually number one, legal, and number two, works, then I have an entire playlist, this one that I'm showing you right now, that shows you hundreds and hundreds of score increases and deletions that I've gotten my own clients in a very short period of time. Speaking of which, if you want to schedule a call with me to see if I can do a credit sweep for you, head over to my740.com, use this first link to schedule a call with me, and I will see if I can help. But today, I'm going to go over two very specific tactics that you can use to remove those negative items. Now, if you want to access everything that I just showed you, you're going to want to watch this video until the end so that you can access this negative accounts list for the tactics, as well as the charge-off tactics, hierarchy chart, the strategy card, and yes, we're going to go over all of this, paid or settled, whether to leave it or delete it, and the account plan of attack. So what you're going to do on the negative accounts list is you're going to fill out your negative items, right? And this is by category. So we have our creditor name, our account number, our late payments, and we have two different tactics that we're utilizing. So charge-offs, you're going to put those in green here at the top, then your third-party collections, and then debt buyer collections, and then late payments. And when you fill it out, it's actually going to look like this. If you look at our examples, we have Capital One, Discover, Credit One. Under charge-offs, we have medical accounts, and then portfolio Midland, and then a Capital One auto loan. And then I just created some, account numbers. So for the late payments, what you're going to do is you're going to fill out your oldest late payments, and that's going to be right here. Then your newest late payments, and then your inaccurate late payments. For the notice of dispute, the way we're going to actually track this is by putting the date that we sent our disputes. So this one was sent 5/22, and then the next one was sent 5/22, and the next one was sent 5/22. For the date last reported, to understand this tactic, I first need to explain what this is. So when the credit bureaus verify your account, the date last reported should actually be updated to the verification date. So if it originally said like January of 2023 and you disputed in August, it should now state August. And if it's not, it's a violation, and you should note the date disputed or whether they updated the date after verification. So when we go back and we look at this, I have a legend right here, and it shows you AAAC. That's activity after the account was closed. So you're going to notice this on an unpaid charge-off. If you go and look at the payment history, it's just going to have a 2-year block of charge-off, 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 charge-off. That is activity after the account was closed. And there shouldn't be any activity after that account was closed or charged off because, hello, it's closed. There shouldn't be activity. And then you're going to notate, the date last paid or the date last active, whatever they actually updated, or you can just put the actual date last reported. So if you take a look at this medical collection one for this unknown medical and the omit hospital, you're going to see that the notice of dispute, the letter was sent on 5/22 for both of these accounts. And then under the date last reported tactic, I have the validation of debt because we didn't use the date last reported. We're actually using validation of debt. And the date last reported actually was updated on the second one to be 2/2020. And then for Capital One, it was again sent 5/2022, but you'll notice that the date last reported stayed at 3/2018, which means that they did not even investigate. Now, the most important part of attacking violations is being able to actually document every single thing that you do. And that's why we need some sort of tracker or some sort of spreadsheet, but I actually created it for you. And again, you can access this, and I'm going to show you exactly how and where by you watching the rest of this video. So let's go to the next part. This is the charge-offs tactics hierarchy chart, but I need to make one change to this. So instead of starting with the date last active, we're actually starting with the date of last payment. So the date of last payment is important because it actually stipulates when the account is naturally going to fall off your credit report. So if it initially said 2017 and then you disputed and they re-aged it illegally, as I show in the 2 videos that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, then it means that there's another 7 years before it's going to come off. And obviously you don't want to have that. So we have our charge off. We're starting with our charge off. And if you go down the middle, we're starting with a date last paid. And then we can actually go down to the evolution line method and going after notice of dispute and the dispute funnel. If you want to learn those tactics, I'm linking them down in the description. Then we would go after the date last reported and their failure to update this, which means that they did not do an investigation. You can go after date last active, but I would instead recommend going after the payment history, such as the first date of delinquency or any inaccuracies in that payment history, such as if your account is unpaid, you're going to see the charge off. Another way that we can dispute this is by, again, going after the payment history, first day of delinquency, activity after the close date, and inaccurate reporting between the three bureaus, or as a last resort, balance, past due, and didn't verify. Now, I will let you know that if you're looking at the pyramid that has the three sections, the things that are going to remove the accounts are backup stuff and the stuff that you shouldn't ever use. This is probably going to be right here in the middle with only your backup stuff. Another thing that we can do is go after validation, creditor validation, and bureau validation. We can go after no contract, although that's probably going to be down here at the bottom of the hierarchy. A creditor dispute with the 623, and then going again and doing a bureau dispute. But I'm going to add one more thing on here. Now that we have our violation log, we would actually want to go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Once we create our complaint there on consumerfinance.gov, we would actually send a copy of our complaint with our new dispute letter to the credit bureaus. As a quick note, if you're asking yourself why there are so many different, tactics and violations and different rounds that we have to utilize, it's because these things were never meant to come off your credit report. And you need to know exactly what you were doing, especially right now in October of 2023, to remove these negative items. All right. So back to this strategy card. Now, this is kind of like the tracker, right? Where we're tracking our negative items. However, now we're tracking the actual disputes. So we have the credit bureaus, the creditors, collectors, and the CFPB. So we have rounds 1 through 6, and then violations. The X's mean we do have violations on every round. Responses. So for round 1 and 2, there were no responses, and round 6, no response. So for the tactics or factual, on round 1, it was factual. 2, we used a tactic. 3, it was factual. 4 and 5, tactic, and 6, factual. And you can actually use tactics and factual at the same time. And to understand that, you're going to want to go check out the links down in the description. But you're going to want to do this for everyone that you are disputing so that you know what you did and when you did it. It's really, really simple. Now make sure that you stay until the end of this video, not only to access all of this, but so that you can learn the key to doing all of this. And I referenced it at the beginning of this video when I mentioned the notice of dispute. Now, if you have paid or settled charge-offs, you need to decide whether you're going to leave it or whether you are going to delete it. And you can do that by basically looking at this scorecard. So left to right, we have leave it, delete it, and then the scorecard details. Now, here's one of the most important things that you can have, and that's an account plan of attack. And I created this for you for 4 different accounts. You're going to have your strategy, your initial reason, your subsequent reason, the key factors of violations, and then your notes. And again, stay until the end so that you can access this as well as learn the key to removing any negative item from your credit report. So we're going to write down your fact targeting strategy. Then you're going to create your dispute reason, and your dispute reason should actually be created factually based off the Agero formula. And I have resources linked down in the description for that. And then what would your next best reason be after that first reason? So if you started with the date last paid, you would say, delete this account for inaccuracy because the date last paid reports 3 different dates, and then you would notate those dates. And then your next reason could be the notice of dispute. Delete this account for violation because you failed to enter the required notice of dispute pursuant to FCRA 623. So that's what it means to set the reason and then your next reason. And then what's your violation? So this is where we're going to log all of our violations. And this is going to turn not only into your account plan of attack, but also your violation log that you're going to take to the CFPB. So you can take your violations from that initial scorecard. So let's go back to the very first one. So when we have our notice of dispute and our date last reported violations, we're actually going to utilize those and put them on our violation log, as long as there's an actual violation. And then any additional information. And you're going to do this for 4 accounts. Now, if you have more than 4 accounts, obviously you're going to make multiple copies of this. So now you've reached the end of this part, but we're beginning the very, very, very most important part of understanding how to remove any negative item from your credit report. But first, I'm going to tell you exactly where you can access this. You can access this entire thing at sendme2.co/POA, plan of attack. And you're going to get access to the account plan of attack, paid or settled, leave it or delete it, the strategy card, the charge-off tactics hierarchy chart, as well as the example documentation and the negative accounts list. Now, I will let you know that when you access this, you may or may not be able to download it. If you cannot download it for whatever reason, you can just hit me up on the chat, which the link is going to be right on the first page of this. And you can let me know that you couldn't access it, and I will send it to you in PDF or PNG format. But the link to download is going to be at the top right. And you can always just use a tool like this one, the Furnisher capture tool, to capture your screen and then just print it out or save it. Okay. So let's get back to the most important part, which is the key to disputing and removing any negative item from your credit report. And that's going to be the notice of dispute. So the notice of dispute, you're going to need to write down the date of your first dispute receipt, right? So you need to send every single letter out certified. Then you need to pull your report on the 31st day and check to see if consumer disputes this account or disputed by consumer was entered. And if it's not, it's a violation of section 623. This is 623AC. Now, even though there's 6 different parts to this, and you can access this down in the description as well, this is part of the validation of debt, but understanding that a disputed account cannot continue to report on a credit report unless the notice of dispute was entered. You see how it says right here? Responsibilities of furnishers of information to consumer reporting agencies, duty to provide notice of dispute. If the completeness or accuracy of any information furnished to any person to any consumer reporting agency is disputed, the person may not furnish the information to any consumer reporting agency without notice that such information is disputed by a consumer. What does that mean? It means that if you dispute something and by the 31st day after they receive your letter, it's actually the 30th day. That's why we're pulling the report on the 31st day. If that notice that the account was disputed is not entered, then that account cannot report on your credit report anymore. And that is why this validation of debt process is so important. Even if you are not disputing with the collectors or the creditors, you are disputing with the bureaus, and they cannot continue to report pursuant to FCRA 623A3 and even AC. This is the credit sweep secret that I have been using continuously since 2018 that has allowed me to remove over 50,000 negative items from my clients' credit reports. So when you go and you check out all these videos, a majority of them were actually created, these deletions and these score increases, by disputing the fact that the credit bureaus did not enter that required notice of dispute. So, for example, I removed $66,837 from this client's credit report, 132 points on this client's credit report, 79,000 from this client's credit report, 129 points in 30 days on this client's credit report, 325 points in 90 days on this client's credit report, 136 points in 60 days for this client, 329 points in 90 days for this client, 526 to 720 in 90 days for this client, 266 points for this client, 192 points for this client, 470 to 780 in 60 days for this client. That's 310 points for this one client, 304 points in 60 days for this client, 400 points for this client. I removed 450 collections from this client's credit report. So these are unbelievable, but there is one thing that they have in common. Not only that I'm the one that did it, but also I did it by attacking the violations and inaccuracies, but specifically the required notice of dispute that was not entered on the client's credit file. So if you want to access this link is also going to be down in the description. And again, you can see if you can schedule a call with me for me to do a credit sweep for you at my740.com. But one last time, to access everything that I've shown you, you're going to go to sendme2.co/POA, and you should be able to download it by using this download button that you're going to see at the top of the screen. You will need to provide your email address, and after you provide your email address, you should be able to download it. But again, if you have any issues with that, then use this link right here, and I'll give you the series via PDF and or PNG. But that is it for today. If you want to legally and permanently remove your negative items, it is going to be with a credit sweep. And I even explained the difference last night between a credit sweep and credit repair when I went live with this video. When I went live last night, I went over whether a credit sweep is faster than credit repair, and hands down, credit sweep was faster. And I give you all of the reasons why, as well as how you can do one yourself. So if you want to check that out, all you got to do is use the links down in the description. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. What's up? I hope you are having a wonderful weekend so far. It just started, but we're going to go over 4 different dispute letter strategies for avoiding reinsertions, because anybody can remove negative items from a credit report, right? But it is up to you with the strategies and methods that you are using so as you make it so that they are not put back on the credit report. In other words, a reinsertion. We're going to cover these 6 things. Is it possible to stop a reinsertion? If I could speak correctly. Strategy number 1, tactic and method to avoid this. 3, strategy number 2, dispute letter type and tactic to use. Strategy 3, dispute funnel method. Strategy 4, process of elimination method. And 6, what to do if it is reinserted. Now, you do not want to skip through this video. If you do, you are going to miss something super imperative. What is a reinsertion? Now, in case you didn't know, this is when you dispute an account, it is removed, and then it is put back on. This can happen anywhere between 5 days to, let's just say, 6 months, okay? A lot of the times, it's going to be the fault of the client that it goes back on, but it could also be that you used the wrong method and it just came back on because, hey, the creditor caught up on their paperwork and you did not make it a permanent deletion. So account is disputed, account is removed, account is put back on. It is called a reinsertion. Now, is it possible to stop this? Yes. Now, let's just address the elephant in the room. I just said yes, but I'm going to explain. No, it is not possible to stop a reinsertion from occurring. You can do everything under the sun to get a deletion just to find out it is temporary. You can do everything under the sun to prep your letters to avoid having this happen to you. And the plain Jane answer to this is simply that you cannot control what the Bureau's creditors and collectors do. But you can make sure that your disputes and action plan give you every opportunity to come up with a winner. And I'm going to give you the top 4 strategies to prevent this from occurring. Strategy number 1 and tactics and methods to avoid. All right. So a dispute letter templates. Who wants to get temporary results if you get results at all? I mean, a large percentage of deleted accounts get reinserted either once the furnisher catches up on their paperwork. Okay, I had to pause the video real quick, but a large percentage of deleted accounts get reinserted once the furnisher catches up on paperwork, or when they take another look at the accounts after an automatic deletion from matching algorithms, okay? Now, false identity theft. The law may work in your favor initially, right? I'm a victim of identity theft, blah, 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 using the 605B affidavit and police report, but once it is verified as yours, the accounts will be added back on. I will also let you know that this significantly impacts your ability to get them removed again. Now, online disputes. Yeah, you can get some temporary results, but because you gave up your rights under Section 623 and 611 when they put it back on your credit report, you already agreed that you are okay with this occurring, okay? And they will not be removed again. Now, another thing, generic messaging. When you don't apply the specifics, the facts, the truth, and you do not use crystal clear arguments, your general messaging can cause confusion, right? In turn, the account may be temporarily removed until there's better understanding. Same goes for lies, such as account in litigation. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there that say, hey, all you have to say is that account is in litigation, but if it is really not, you are really setting yourself or your client up for a lot of problems. Don't do that. Strategy number 2, dispute letter type and tactic to use. Factual disputes. You already knew that I was going to say that. So use the facts available on the credit report. Create crystal clear arguments, write a custom on-the-spot dispute letter, use simple targeted language, write as a consumer and not a business, statement plus facts plus request, Utilizes the formulas in the structured language, no use or threats or heavy laws. Statement of a law when necessary is okay, but you need to know actually, how to do this, how to use it. And then tactic type least likely to result in a reinsertion would be factual based disputes. Okay. Now, strategy number 3. Did you know you can set the bureaus up? Now, if you have been paying attention and you've gone through the workshops that I've provided to you, you would already know that you can set the follow-up with the dispute funnel. Now, method for controlling the outcome. The method includes using dispute reasons and or tactics that push the investigation to the next step of the action plan. So let's just say that you already know you're not going to get a deletion on X round, okay? But you also know that by utilizing XYZ type of dispute or dispute reason, you can move this investigation, one way or another, right? You're basically, stacking the cards in your favor instead of against you, okay? It's very useful for disputing difficult accounts or where the expected dispute duration is greater than 4 or 5 rounds. This uses factual disputes plus multiple tactics to achieve permanent results while lowering the probability of a reinsertion. This also takes away their available responses and actions. It is less stall tactics, less likely to be ignored. And number 3 allows for a lower percentage of reinsertions. This method not only uses the facts reported, but also uses a guided dispute strategy that doesn't allow for the bureaus to misinterpret reasons. Because you have to remember, the entire dispute reason is going to be converted into a 2 to 3 digit code, right? Oscar codes. This goes over electronically to XYZ creditor, and they need to know how to categorize it, okay? So you need to make sure that it is being categorized correctly, and so that you're not saying, hey, this is XYZ, remove it because of the XYZ violation, but they're saying, oh, well, this person's actually saying identity theft. No, that's not what I said. You don't want to get yourself or your client in that position, okay? It doesn't allow for the bureaus to misinterpret reasons and allows for permanent removal of very difficult accounts virtually all the time. So strategy 4, process of elimination method. So this strategy utilizes common sense, okay? You're ensuring that everything is included that will give you a ton of chances of permanent deletion and excluding what could result in a reinsertion. Step number 1, letter check. Step number 2, reason check. Step number 3, identification check. Step number 4, adjust your action plan. So what does this mean by check? You need to go through your entire dispute letter and you need to make sure that you are excluding and including everything that you're supposed to. Look at your dispute reason. Are you following the Agero formula? Is every single part and every single fact in there that is supposed to be in there? You need to take your time and go through this step by step. Number 3, identification. Remember that they can deny your investigation for yourself or your client if you are missing identification that is pertinent. That is ID and proof of address. Now, you will also need to furnish something with your social security number on it if you are disputing your social, okay? And then adjust the action plan. That one's pretty straightforward. Now, what to do if this is actually reinserted? Don't panic. Create a new action plan because obviously what you did, it didn't work, okay? Now, as long as you didn't dispute online, you can utilize section 611 to fight the reinsertion. As long as they violated by not notifying you within 5 business days of the occurrence, you can fight this violation. Consider whether you missed a step in the process. Use the reinsertion playlist found on YouTube, and that is an old link, but it is youtube.com/ask-Kristen, okay? And you can always find my links, but this is very, very, very simple, okay? We want to make sure that we are doing everything possible to ensure permanent results, okay? Now, I know there are instances where you may either be yourself or your client, okay? Where you may be in a situation where you just need something suppressed for a short period of time. You don't want to utilize illegal tactics that are going to allow this suppression just for it to come back on, because then it may be permanent for 7 years, okay? Keep these things in mind when you are disputing. It will allow you to get better, faster, permanent results. And that's it. I will see you in 2023. So there's a couple of pointers that I need to give to you for you to understand
what it's going to take for you to actually achieve results. As long as it's not child support, I dispute it and I can remove it most of the time, right? Like virtually all the time. But there's a very specific process to doing this. So without further ado, let's talk about when you send out your disputes, you must send it out supporting whatever you're saying, delete, for this reason, or update for that reason, with the facts taken directly from your credit report. It doesn't work anymore to just send out some general delete because it's inaccurate. You need to, number one, have a consumer law to support whatever it is that you are telling them to do, such as a violation. There needs to be a consumer law that supports it, and you need to back it up with the facts taken directly from your credit report. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's when you pull your credit report, you're looking at Identity IQ or Smart Credit. If you don't have those, the links are down in the description. Yes, they are my affiliate links. You need to have all three bureaus or whichever is available for you side by side. You're looking at the account, and if you say delete this account for violation because you didn't put the required notice of dispute, you need to fill it in with, when I originally disputed on X date, that notice was required to be on there by the report of X date. Every single time you send out a dispute letter, you need to send it out certified with return receipt. They are required, when you send out a dispute, to mark your account as disputed. If this is not on the account where it says consumer disputes, by that 30th day, it's a violation of FCRA 623A3, 623AC, and FDCPA 8078. An account that was disputed that does not notate that it was disputed cannot report anymore. I'm writing this letter because, and I want you to do XYZ. That's all you need to do. You need to tell them why you're writing the letter, what you want them to do, and request a new credit report. No, you are not going to remove your negative items because you're spending too much time listening to these other people who tell you that they have the magic cure, the instant cure to bad credit. There wouldn't be 68 million people with bad credit. That number would be going down, but it's not. It's going up. The debt is going up. The number of people who have bad credit is going up. Like, subscribe.
Credit bureau violations you definitely want to pay attention to, and we're going to check out a couple of different accounts, actually 8 of them, and now you're going to want to look for these on your own credit report. And if you don't already have the ability to check out all 3 bureaus side by side, my links for Identity IQ and Smart Credit are both down in the description. So this is what we're checking out. If you look at date last active, right below it is date of last payment, and above that is comments. So these are the 2 sections that we're looking at: comments and date of last payment. And we might even go into the payment history, but these are the 2 that we are sticking to. So if you look at date of last payment, you're going to see 6/2023, 6/2023, and 9/2022. This should stick out to you because the date of last payment actually stipulates when the account is naturally going to come off. So if you add 7 years to 2023, that's going to give you a totally different year than adding 7 years to 2022. That means that they're going to fall off at 2 totally different times. And that, my friend, is called illegal reaging. That's a violation. The second thing that you want to notice is the comment section. You see, this account was already disputed, but it's actually missing the notice of dispute on this account. And that's with Equifax, but it does have it on Experian, and it does have it on TransUnion. So that means that Equifax, out of all 3 bureaus, is in violation of FCRA 623A3 and AC for failing to enter this notice within 30 days. So what does that mean? Well, if you go check out 623, it's going to very clearly tell you that an account that was disputed and not marked as in dispute cannot report on a credit report. Now, if you're thinking to yourself that, hey, that's probably just like a one-off, not very prevalent type of deal, well, we're looking at another client, another account, and another instance of the same thing, where we have 2019 on date last paid, missing entirely on Experian, and 9/2020 on TransUnion. So again, what does that mean? It means that it's going to come off 2 totally different years, and Experian isn't even reporting it. So, I mean, they're already done for. So you would go after failure to enter the notice of dispute because it's also not entered on Equifax, and the illegal re-aging on Equifax, missing on Experian, and illegal re-aging on TransUnion. Now, a lot of people ask me this question. Do I go and check out every single account for every single client that I process? And the answer to this is yes. I go and I look at the account numbers, the type, the balance, the monthly payment, date last reported, the comments, date last active, the payment history, date of last payment. I look at it all because it's all supposed to report a very specific way. Now, yes, we're only talking about 2 specific violations, but I'm asked this question so much that I wanted to answer it in this video. I go and I break down the entire account every single time. Nothing's automated. Nothing is, a template. If you've been following me for the 9 years that I've been here on YouTube, then you already know with my 1,600 videos that there's very specific things that I'm looking for because it gets the results. So if I were looking at this account, I would go and I would check out these 2 things. This account was disputed. Again, notice the dispute was not entered. It cannot report on the credit report, and date of last payment. It doesn't matter how many credit reports that I look at, I'm always going to see the same violations every single time. So if you're looking at your credit report and you don't know what to dispute or why you're disputing it or what you should be saying, I highly recommend checking out my playlist, especially for removing charge-offs, because it's going to walk you through the things that you're looking for, how an account should and should not report, and even how to attack some of these violations. And of course, if you check out the comment section, you're going to find out a bunch of resources like my credit repair course on steroids. So with this one, we don't even have a payment history. It just doesn't exist. That's this 2-year payment history down here in the bottom. And it's supposed to be there because this is not a collection. It's actually a charge-off. If you look at the payment status, it doesn't even say it's a charge-off. It says it's unknown. And the reason for this is because it's included in bankruptcy. And when you include something in bankruptcy, it changes the whole account. It can turn a collection into a charge-off into an unknown status, and it can change a bunch of the payment history, like getting rid of it entirely. So I'm not trying to confuse you here. Let's stick with these 2 violations. If I pull 10 random clients, I'm going to see that on at least 60% of these clients' credit reports, we're looking at the same violations. And that's why we're going over this today. All right. And I do have an all-in-one crash course for credit sweeps. You can check out that down in the description, as well as my credit sweep stall tactics video that shows you how to deal with some of these things that the credit bureaus purposely do and what you should be looking out for. But let's go back to violations. I might even make one on violations specifically. Now, what would you actually say in a dispute letter if you were looking at something like this? Well, first of all, we're going to go and start with date last payment. Delete this account for legal re-aging because, don't forget that word because, Equifax shows that the date last paid was 2019. Experian is completely missing it, so that needs to be deleted right there. And TransUnion illegally re-aged this account from 2019 to now report September 2020, which means that this account was going to come off almost a year after it was actually supposed to naturally fall off. Now, what if you disputed it? It looked like this, you disputed it, it came back, and the comment section was actually missing the notice of dispute. What would you do? What would you say? This is really simple. You guys ask me all the time, what do you say? You're pointing out violations, Kristen, but you're not telling us what to say. Well, it's really simple. I disputed this on X date. 30 days later, the notice was supposed to report that I disputed it, and it didn't. And in FCRA 623, it says that an account that was disputed that is not marked in dispute cannot report, and therefore this account needs to be deleted. If you want to shorten it up, you can very simply say delete for violation of FCRA 623, failure to enter notice of dispute because it was required by X date. The X date is going to be the 31st day after they received your dispute. So let's go check out a couple more. This one, again, no payment history. So that's not there. And this is a Macy's account, so it is a charge off. And it's because, again, it was included in bankruptcy. And we're looking at 2019, missing 2020. So these same rules apply to this, where we would use literally the same exact thing as the previous account. All right, so this one is a little bit different because now we have payment history. So you're going to see that the first day of delinquency, at least for the last 24 months, actually starts May 2022. Equifax reports that the last payment date was May 2022. However, if you look at the payment history, it says that it was 30 days late, May 22, and then 60, 90, so on and so forth. That means that a payment was actually not received in May 2022, or the payment history is actually incorrect. But look, we got the same thing right here. 2022, 2023, 2023. Not marked as in dispute. Not marked as in dispute. And this one is not marked as in dispute. So we have our violations here. Now this one's actually from Smart Credit. Look at this. Date last paid. If we go look at date last paid right here, 9/2023, 9/2023, 1/2022. That is illegal reaging. And if you look at the payment history, this just doesn't make any sense. Anyways, let's skip that. Go over to creditor remarks, and we have nothing in here. And, well, both of them are violations. This was disputed, not marked as in dispute. It even says right here, account not disputed, account not disputed, account not disputed. So there are so many instances of the same thing where you have the same violations, but totally different clients, totally different credit reports. And I promise you, if you look at your credit report and you understand what you're looking at, that you too will see these same violations. Now, I don't know how many we have left. We actually have, I believe, 2 left. So let's take a look at this one. This one, date last paid, 2021, 2021, 2022, illegal reaging. We also have activity after the close date. I have a different video about that one. And if you look at the payment history, just look at this for a second. So January 2022 is on time here, but it's actually reported as late here. So tell me how that happens. I don't know. No notice of dispute. So we have one more where I'm going to again show you just how easy it is to find these. These are all over the place, and I use these all the time, every single day when I break down my accounts and manually dispute to get these things off my clients' credit reports. So take a look at this activity after the close date. We also have totally inconsistent payment history. 1/2023, 1/2023, 6/2022. Also, not marked as disputed, not marked as disputed here, here, or here. These are 2 violations that you can use to permanently and legally remove negative items from your credit report. So if you have questions about this, post it down in the comments. Smash that like, subscribe if you haven't done so. And as always, if you want to see if I can do a credit sweep for you, that link is right at the top of the screen. If you came to me today and you said, hey, Kristen, I've never disputed before, and I need to know what is the fastest way to remove my negative items, I'm going to tell you that the very first thing that you should do is to dispute and remove your personal information. Now, you do want to put 10 days in between your PI disputes and your account disputes, but there's 3 ways that you can do this. Number 1, by mail. You're going to find all the addresses, all the phone numbers, everything outside of what is current. Your current name. I mean, we get married, right? Current name, current phone number, current address, your date of birth, and your social, okay? Not your full social. You're looking at the last 4, and you're looking at your actual date of birth, okay? So you're going to list all of these. These are not my phone numbers. These are not the addresses. These are not my addresses. This is the only information that should be on my credit report, okay? Now, that's number 1 by mail. It does not have to go out certified, but if you really want to make sure that I got there, send it out certified. Number 2, dispute it online. Yes, I know. I tell you all the time, don't dispute online, but in this instance, this is something that you can do to dispute online, okay? Just make sure you're not disputing any accounts, okay? Not my address, not my phone number, so on and so forth. You're probably going to have some problems with Experian, though, because Experian will say, oh, this is a matter of record, this is attached to an account, but hey, we're still going to try. Number 3, if you have the fax numbers to the bureaus, also send out via fax. If you don't have a faxing service, I use Humble, Humble fax. As long as you are not sending a ton, like as a business, disputes per month to the bureaus, then it's only like $10 for unlimited unlimited faxes, which is like up to 500. Okay. So it's really not unlimited. I had that conversation with them, but anyways, different conversation for a different day. Now that's 3 different ways. I'm not going to get the fax numbers. They change all the time, but if you can get them and you can try it, hey, it doesn't hurt. It's only going to help. Make sure you put those 10 days in between your PI disputes and your account disputes. And I promise you, if you can remove those addresses and all that kind of stuff before you dispute, then it's going to make it significantly easier, because the credit bureaus are basically going to just check to see if there's an address that's attached to an account. And if there is, hey, guess what? There's no investigation. It's already verified as accurate, when obviously You're supposed to do an investigation, but you know that they're not going to, okay? So, anywho, if you have questions about this, drop it in the comments. If you're looking for the secret to removing any negative item on your credit report in 2023, then this is the video that you need to watch all the way until the end, because I'm going to show you exactly how to write a dispute letter to the credit bureaus for any negative account on any credit report. And it's so simple. We have our letter structure. I'm going to show you exactly how to write that letter, and our dispute reason structure to creating the perfect dispute reason. You see, you guys are always asking me for a specific letter for removing charge-offs or for collections or for specific situations. There's no specific letter. There's no one size fits all. However, I will tell you that your letter and your dispute will always be the same. And if you're in the sales world, you know Jordan Belfort. His thing is that a sale is always the same and follows a straight line. And if we look at a dispute letter, it's exactly the same. The info may change, but your structure is always the same. And when you follow this, it allows you to send dispute letters that get results. So by the time you are done watching this video, you will know exactly how to do this with your own accounts. And it's really, really easy. Look, we have our name and our personal information followed by the date. We have our recipient. We have our why paragraph, our accounts and reasons, and a one-line closing. That's it. Please send me a new credit report reflecting these changes, or something to that effect. And then our name. That's your entire letter. Now, don't get me wrong. We need to talk about the accounts and the reasons, because that is the secret, and you need to continue watching to get that. But just as a reminder, we're not using anything extra just because, okay? If it doesn't fit the structure, it doesn't belong in your dispute letter. If a law doesn't directly relate to the exact account you're disputing or the exact situation for all accounts on the letter, don't add or use it, okay? So let's go check out our why paragraph. So this part is really straightforward. Why are you sending this letter? What do you want them to do? And what outcome are you expecting? Every letter you send to them should follow this and answer these three questions. And this is a great way to write a unique, authentic, consumer authentic dispute letter, and it's not going to get flagged, okay? Now, your accounts and your reasons, like I said, this is the secret to the dispute letter, to the dispute, entire dispute process, the credit sweep. This is what's going to get you the results, and this is why you need to continue watching. It's so important. This is going to follow a very specific formula and a specific structure. Creditor name followed by account number followed by dispute reason using a JERO formula. And it's really easy. Action, justifier, element, reason, and outcome. So if we go look at it, this is going to be, it's really easy, like I said. So we have a JERO formula right here, and all we're doing is we're taking the information from your credit report and plugging it in. So if we had a capital one charge off, we already have our creditor name, we have our account type, and we have our account number. We have what we're disputing, which is the date last paid, and we have the facts. So let's go plug it in. We delete because date last paid, and then these three dates. So when we put it into this formula, the outcome is delete this account for inaccuracy because the date last paid reports 3/21 on Experian, 4/21 on Equifax, and 5/20/20 on TransUnion. It doesn't get any easier than that. You could do this for every account. Collections, charge-offs, repos, foreclosures, bankruptcies, judgments, tax liens, late payments. I don't care. This is how you remove these accounts. And this is why I created this formula, okay? So let's go and look at this example right here. All right, so we have, I just need to move this over just a little bit. So in this example, we have delete this charge off for inaccuracy because the date of last payment reports 1/21 on 1/20/20 on Experian, 5/20/21 on Equifax, and 8/15/2019 on TransUnion. So do we have all five of these parts? Yes, we do. We have our action, right? This is the action. This charge off or this account for inaccuracy, or I could say violation if it's a violation. Because is the justifier. Date of last payment is the element, the part of the account you're disputing, and the reason is going to be the facts. So we have our entire dispute reason, and this creates the perfect dispute reason. Its structure makes it remarkably simple for you to just plug your account into the formula to dispute any account on your credit report. Do you see why this works? If you say yes, smash that like, drop me a comment, let me know. Or if you don't understand this, drop me a comment and let me know, okay? So this is what I use for every single client, every single time, every credit report, every update, every deletion that I've gotten after 2018 has been because of this, okay? So this follows a straight line. This is the same structure we follow with the dispute reasons because the formula doesn't change, just the input, like I said. This is the same structure we follow with the dispute letter. We're plugging our information in. At the top, we're answering 3 questions. Why? Then in the middle, we're telling them what. And at the end, we're saying, that's it. Thank you. That is your entire letter. If you have questions about this, let me know. If you don't want to do this, the link is at the top of the screen for you to schedule a call with me to see if I can personally take over your file and do this for you. Call with me to see if I can personally take over your file and do this for you. So, date of last payment stipulates when this account is naturally going to fall off, right? 7 years, right? So when we're looking at this, if we have 3 different dates, even if it's if it's a month, whatever, who cares? But a lot of the times we're talking about it showing 2017, 2018, and 2020. Or what if it was 2017 and hey, your account was going to come off this year in December, but when you disputed, they illegally re-aged it. And now it says 2023. So Experian is showing that the account was going to come off in December of this year. But Equifax is showing that, hey, it's another 7 years that you have to wait. So that means that the account's not naturally going to fall off this year or at the same time, but 7 years apart. That is the number one way to remove things from your credit report. A, by looking for the date of last payment inaccuracy, and B, there's a violation when it's been illegally re-aged. And you would say something to the effect of, delete this account for violation because, you always have to say because, why? Remember, backing everything with the facts. You illegally re-aged this account from whatever. So when you look at your report, you should see starting with date last paid. Example. So if Experian is reporting 10/1/2020, Equifax is reporting 9/16/2021, and then we have TransUnion reporting 3/8/19. Obviously, these are 3 different dates. They are 3 different years and 3 different months. What does that mean? If you know what this means, smash that like. It means that the account is going to come off at 3 totally different times. Why would we want that? And how did they even come up with this information if it is one data furnisher that is entering the information to the credit report and submitting it to the credit bureaus? Why is it 3 different dates? I don't know. Human error? I mean, I guess that shouldn't even be the question, okay? The question can be, can it be off in December of 2022? So how can we have an August 2023 date? We don't. We have a problem here. Number one, it was disputed in August, verified, even though there was no actual investigation. And instead of updating the date last reported, they actually updated the date last paid. So this is a violation because this is the correct date over here for 11/1/2022. Experian needs to remove this because this is incomplete. It is missing and is required to be there. And TransUnion needs to remove it because they illegally re-aged it. Now, for Equifax, you can even still use the same example to say this account was illegally re-aged from 11/2022, and this account needs to be removed. And here are the dates: 8/1/2023 missing and 11/1/2022. Additionally, you can go and say, hey, this account was disputed, but even though it was disputed and you received my dispute because I have the proof from the certified mail, you failed to enter the required notice of dispute here in the